Hi guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Chris Uchechi, and in today's video I'll be walking you through on nervous system. Now let's get at it. Nervous system. Now we'll start by talking about the divisions of the nervous system. Now the nervous system actually controls the body. It works with the impulse. It generates biological wires called impulse, and impulse is faster than hormones. In other words, the nervous system is quicker than the endocrine gland. Endocrine system rather is faster than the endocrine system. So now we'll talk about the division of the nervous system. The nervous system is divided into two. That's the central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. Now we'll take this first. We'll take the central nervous system first before we come back to the peripheral nervous system. Now the central nervous system, called CNS in abbreviation, is divided into two. It's made up of the brain and the spinal cord. Now the brain is made up of nerve cells called the neurons. Neuron is the unit of the nervous system, just as the cell is the structural and the functional unit of life, and nephron is the unit, functional and the structural unit of the kidney. Neurons is the functional and the structural unit of the nervous system. Alright, the spinal cord is actually the extension of the brain. The brain descends down to the body, and it follows down to the body into the vertebral canal. Through a foramen called foramen magnum. And the spinal cord has many parts. Now the structures of the brain and the spinal cord are arranged in two layers. Talk about the gray matter and the white matter. Now the gray matter is made up of nerve cell bodies and the proximal part of nerve fibers. The nerve fiber has the proximal part, middle part, and a distal part. Now the proximal part also forms the gray matter. White matter is majorly formed by nerve fibers. Now get this. In the brain, gray matter is positioned in the outside, in the outer part of the brain. White matter is positioned inside of the brain, but in the spinal cord it is the opposite. Gray matter is in the inside and white matter is at the outer part of the spinal cord. Please take note. In the brain, the gray matter is found in the outer part of the brain, but the white matter is located on the inside. Why spinal cord is the opposite? Alright, now we've talked about the division. Now let's go to the coverings of the brain. the coverings of the brain. Coverings of the brain. The brain is covered in three meninges. Number one, the alpha dura mater. Middle arachnoid mater. And finally, the inner pia mater. Now, between these two layers, between middle arachnoid mater and inner pia mater, is a space called subarachnoid space. Now, this space is filled with a fluid called cerebrospinal fluid. What's the function of cerebrospinal fluid? The brain and the spinal cord is suspended in cerebrospinal fluid to ease friction, so the movement of the brain and the spinal cord is made easy and there is no friction occurring there. Now, that being said, that will launch us to the part of the brain. The part of the brain. Before I go into the part of the brain, I want to make a sketch, diagrammatic representation of the brain and the spinal cord. Please don't mind my diagram. It's just for learning purposes. Don't mind my diagram. Right. Alright, something like this. Alright. This to aid the understanding. That's why I'm using different colors of marker to do this, to aid understanding. Alright, this is the brain, this is the spinal cord. The spinal cord passes into the vertebral canal through foramen magnum. Now, here is cerebrum. Then at the base here, cerebellum. Now, this guy here is the midbrain. The midbrain. This blue guy here is the pons. Now, this red guy here is the medulla oblongata. Oblongata, right? Okay. These three guys are called the brainstem. The brainstem. So the brainstem is made up of the midbrain, pons, and the medulla oblongata. Right here, you will see the cervical segment. You see the thoracic segment. You see the lumbar segment, then sacral segment, and finally the coccygeal segment. Okay, from here is the brain. Now, from here down to here is the spinal cord. All right, let me give you time to just we'll look at it very well. All right, now let's go to the parts of the brain. part of the brain the brain is divided into three parts, which are the prosencephalon, okay, mesencephalon, and finally the last one, rhombocephalon. Now, otherwise you can call this the forebrain, right? This is the midbrain, and finally this is the hindbrain. Now, this guy here, the prosencephalon, that's the first part of the brain, is further divided into two parts. Two parts called telencephalon. Now, under this place, you find structures. You find structures like the basal ganglia. Okay, you find the agiloid nucleus. Then you find the hippocampus. There is another structure here, okay? The cerebral hemisphere is found here. These are the four structures found here, and for you to remember easily, it's the word batch. This is for basal ganglia, this is for aglioid nucleus, this is for cerebral hemisphere, and this is for hippocampus. Very easy. For you to understand this guy, just say telephone. From the word you take just tele, then put encephalon. That's all. Now the second part of this is called the diencephalon. If this will confuse you, just say the word. Under prosencephalon, there are two divisions. The first one is telephone, and the second one is diet. Telephone and diet. Just remove this word, remove this one, and put encephalon. That's all. Now, under this guy now, you find structures like the thalamus. Find the thalamus, hypothalamus. Now the third one, subthalamus, and the final one, metathalamus. Now, how do you remember this? Use the word, the letters. Now, this is actually the abbreviation for something. SMTH. This is subthalamus, metathalamus, thalamus, and hypothalamus. That's the easy way for you to remember the first part of the brain, which is the prosencephalon, otherwise known as the forebrain. Now, the second part of the brain, mesencephalon. All right. Mesencephalon is, there's not much to talk about here because it has no subdivision. All you just need to know is it is otherwise known as the midbrain, and that will take us right down to the rhombocephalon. Now, the rhombocephalon, just like the first part of the brain, is divided into two parts known as mesencephalon. Just when you're studying about the brain, just know that you encounter this word cephalon, and it has to do with the head, the cranial part. Metacephalon. This metacephalon is made up of two structures. This is where you see the pons and the cerebellum. Right? Now the second part, which is called the myelencephalon. Myelencephalon, or you call it medulla oblongata. Medulla oblongata. Now this one, you see, like, how will I remember this? Now just use the word meter, and here myelin, meter myelin. Clean this, and put this. Myelencephalon. Then this metencephalon, and you will get it. So that's all about the parts of the brain, and that will lead us to the final part, which is the PNS, peripheral nervous system. Hope you are getting value on this video. If you are getting any value from this video, please give it a thumb up, and if you are new to my channel, you can subscribe right away. So the peripheral nervous system, otherwise known as the PNS. Okay, this is actually formed by neurons and their processes. Neurons and their processes. Talk about the cranial nerve. Cranial nerve, that's from the brain. They talk about the spinal nerve, from the spinal cord. The PNS is divided into two. The first part, somatic nervous system, and autonomic nervous system. This guy controls the movement of the skeletal muscle. All what I'm doing like this is the guy, the somatic, is controlling it. It is voluntary. It is voluntary. Like, I can decide to do it. It is voluntary. It controls the movement of the skeletal system. But autonomic nervous system, it is not voluntary. It is, as the word implies, auto means self, meaning it controls itself. It is involuntary, and it controls the viscerals. Otherwise, they will say the vegetative, it has vegetative function. It has vegetative function. Talk about your breath. Your breathing is not that somatic completely. It is also automatic. Like when you're sleeping, the autonomic system controls your breath. Now, the autonomic system can also be subdivided into two: sympathetic nervous system, and, you know what I want to say, parasympathetic nervous system. And that's all about that, about the nervous system for now. And I will bring in you, our next class will be featuring neurons. So you can share this video to any of your friends that you know they need this, and give this video a thumb up. Subscribe to my channel for more content as this one. Thank you for watching.